Let's see. Am I live? It's not doing what it normally does. Oh, good. Okay, here we go. This is all different. I'm joining from my desktop today. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to see comments a little bit better. And hopefully this will go a little smoother. I think Facebook has done a lot to try to make these lives a little bit more smooth and interactive. So, hi everyone. I'm Melissa Keenan, CEO and owner at Coaching with Melissa Keenan. And I help women and couples to create the intimacy of their dreams. And I'm coming to you today with kind of some tender thoughts because I think we're kind of in a tender spot globally right now. So as you're popping in today, I'd love to hear, who's here. Definitely say hi and where you're watching from. And let me know if you kind of are feeling this too. Feeling this, we're kind of in a tender spot in our global consciousness right now. And that's why I wanted to come and talk about how intimacy can help be a guide for us. For me, it is my only guide. It is the avenue to which I make all my decisions. And so let me share a little bit about what I see right now. I see a lot of fear in the world. I see a lot of confusion. I see a lot of disconnection. I see there's a lot going on, isn't there? I don't need to be the news reporter. We all know. We all know what's going on. And it's, I would say the global consciousness right now is a consciousness of fear and stress and confusion. And so what are we supposed to do with that? How can we maybe rise above that? Hi, Gabby. I think how can we, if we're constantly breathing in this air, how can we be a light or be centered or be a beacon in the midst of it all? These are the kinds of things that I'm always thinking about. And again, if you're watching, say hi in the comments. Let me know if you agree that times are feeling kind of tender right now. And so where I go when I start to feel all this shifting happening is I go internal. I start feeling, and before I was very conscious or had done very much personal development work, I didn't know anything about feelings or being an empath or being connected to the spirit world, or I really didn't have a clear guidance system. I just tried to look for what the external world told me was right and do that thing and do it really well. Be very righteous in doing my right thing. And it was really, really hard. It was not a path that brought a whole lot of happiness. And so as things have been kind of stirring now, what's funny is that I think whether I knew I was a more sensitive person, whether I knew that or not, I would start feeling deeply. So typically in an unconscious, sensitive or empathic kind of person, we just start feeling all the things. And then I would probably have been in my doctor's office saying, maybe I need antidepressants or something because I am feeling so much. Brianna, oh my gosh, I must have telepathically called you. I was literally thinking about you last night. Hi. We need to connect. So I got a little distracted. I'm so happy to see you. Um, in an unconscious way, we're just feeling all this stuff, right? And then we're like, something's wrong with me. I need to like squash this. Like I'm not able to show up in the same ways that I have been, and I don't know what's wrong. And so this is like the narrative that we're given that we're supposed to do. Then you just go to your doctor and you say, I'm depressed or I'm super anxious, and then you get on medication. Maybe you get referred to a therapist or something. And instead of, and I'm not trying to discount those who really need that, but instead of taking this time to go inward and acknowledge you're feeling something for a reason, okay? So let me break it down about how we utilize intimacy as a guide, because what we're all feeling is a call, and it's a call to do life differently. It's a call, the discomfort that shows up internally is a call that is saying something is out of alignment for you. And so let's listen and let's make the adjustments that we are being called toward. The thing that nobody talks about and that people don't recognize is that this vessel and all the feedback that it produces for us is our way of experiencing God. It is our way of experiencing spirit or that inner guidance or the universe moving and speaking through us or being the vessel. So when we're feeling angry or agitated, or we're feeling like there's a fire roaring inside of us, or we're feeling depressed, or we're feeling sad, or whatever, any of these like uncomfortable emotions, we are taught in society to just squash that down, push it down, and then keep going with whatever it is you're doing in the world. Keep running your business, keep momming, keep showing up, and don't show that you have any of this stuff going on. And it just disconnects us more and more from our internal truth. So when we use intimacy as a guide, we have to start here and get intimate with ourselves. You've heard this definition. I've shared this with you before. Into me see. This is the very, very beginning and end of true intimacy. I come back to it again and again and again. It is the first baby step, and it's also the last final jump. It's everything. Because as long as we have this here, we can experience it out here in our relationships. When we don't have this here, we cannot experience it out there in our relationships. So it's something we come back to again and again. So, crazy Brianna, that's beautiful. So how do we listen within? The first piece is something that I've already alluded to. We have to recognize that what we're experiencing internally matters. It's not something to just be pushed aside. And it's also not the end-all be-all. So that's number one. If you want to really concisely understand this, it's feel your feelings. And I don't talk about this very much in my marketing, but let me tell you what, I talk about this extensively in my coaching. Not because I just sit and preach at my clients, but because it shows up again and again. So often, people in the world, I'm on the phone in conversations with women constantly, they'll say to me, I'm fine with feeling my feelings. Like, I have no problem with that, right? Because it's really preached right now in the personal development world. And yet, when we get into the work, we don't feel our feelings. It is this fascinating phenomenon to me that we think we know what we're feeling, and we think, oh, yeah. But then when we really slow down and make intimacy our priority, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much here, and I was ignoring all of it. There's so much here, and this is your internal roadmap. It's like your internal scriptures. So we recognize and acknowledge that this is important, it matters. And then we feel our feelings. Feel our feelings. And this is This is the piece that everybody misses. It really is. From there, our feelings are a guide. Did you know that? They're a guide that are calling our heart towards something that's deeply meaningful to us. So through our feelings, we get to understand more deeply our desires and the values that are guiding our life. Typically, if we're feeling something that's uncomfortable, it's letting us know that there's a value missing for us. Something that's deeply meaningful to us that's not showing up in our current experience. Okay, so if you really are going through a transitional phase in your life, you should be writing these steps down. This is like gold. This is exactly what I do with my clients, guiding them through this. I hold their hand through this process. And why does that matter so much? Understanding what we value and understanding our desires. Guess what? Those two things make up the core of who you are. They guide you to your purpose. They guide you to your current mission on the planet. They are everything. Because you don't have the same desires I have. You don't have the same meaningful values. Those things that really light you up, that create a fulfilling experience for you, yours are different than mine. So where do they come from? You know, my daughter is not born with these same, passions and desires as I am. Where did hers come from? I believe they're a part of our DNA. They're a part of our divine identity. And again, there's so much conditioning wrapped up in that that's telling us, don't listen to your desires, or don't trust your desires, don't trust yourself, don't trust what lights you up, what excites you, don't follow your pleasure, it's all bad, right? I mean, am I speaking your language, you guys? Are we speaking the same language here? So listening to, and never take my word for anything that I say, and you probably, if you've watched me at all, you've heard me say this before. Don't take my word. Plant this idea deep within you. Like, see if it's good. See if it actually does resonate with your soul. And if it does, then take it and adopt it as your own. Our desires are pure, true desires. When we listen internally like this, they're good. They're always good. Always. They don't tell us to do, bad things. They guide us to good and beautiful things that then allow us to have full, rich experiences in life. And you'll know it when you feel it. Because you have this thing, right? You're all uncomfortable. And then you pause and you take time to experience intimacy with yourself. And you'll know it when you feel it, because all of a sudden, things will start to become clear for you. And we struggle with this. Even I struggle doing this on my own. There's something about being in community with other women especially that helps us open up and listen and soften in and go into our beingness so that we can hear what that message is. We can hear what that voice is calling us toward. And it's so important. And when you come out of doing that, the way that you'll know that you really access true intimacy with yourself, everything looks different. It's like lightning repentance. I joke with my husband. He hates my phrase, lightning repentance. Because I'm always like, oh, we could just change. We could just change. But it feels like everything is new to us. I open my eyes, and all of a sudden, it's like, I was talking with a friend earlier this week, and she's got a cancer scare. And if you followed me for very long, you know I had a cancer scare back in December and January of this year, and it was really real and really intense. And she talked about how all of a sudden everything feels slower. And she's paying more attention, and she's seeing things almost as if with new eyes. Her little kids' faces, the dew on the trees, and the breeze, and the fall colors. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is all that matters. This is what we experience when we do intimacy with ourselves. When we go in and into me see. When we take that time to listen. Because there's all this wisdom. We are already divine. We miss that part, right? So we listen within. We listen to God's voice through us. And everything all of a sudden looks more beautiful. And that's true intimacy. And then you take that, right? It's like a cookie cutter. And you apply that in your marriage. And then you apply that with your children. And then you apply that in your client relationships, in your friendships, in the world. And that's when you embody intimacy as a way of being. So with all the changes that are happening in our world right now, if you're feeling discomfort, maybe it's because you're being called to evolve, being called to something new, to some kind of new evolution of yourself, a new birth of who you really are, a lightning repentance. And if that's true, maybe all you need to do is slow down and listen. Give yourself some of that time and space to do that. And I had another friend say to me, and she's older than me, she's been through more in her life. She's seen more of these cycles that our world will go through. And she said, I've seen times like this before. And she said, those who make it through are those who pause and listen. So I think this work is more vital than we could ever know right now. I think we're all in a hinge point in our lives. Globally, we're all one, we're all connected, we're all at a hinge point. And what we decide to do with that hinge point is going to determine a lot in our future. And if it feels scary to you, or you think, I still don't understand, I don't know how to do this, I don't know if I can do this on my own, then I would say to you, you're not alone. And this is why I do what I do. It would be an honor to hold your hand through the process. So if that resonates with you, and that speaks to you, and that lights you up, and it's like, yeah, I do want to be paying attention. I do want to be the evolution of myself that I'm meant to be, and be full and in my purpose, and be present and intimate in my relationships as I move forward and as our society moves forward. Then let's set up a call. Just DM me. We can set up a call, and I'll see what your next steps are. What would most support you in your evolution and in your journey. It's an honor for me to show up and get to be this voice in the world right now. It makes me emotional because it matters so much. And I think if I weren't anchored into this every single day, getting to show up and share, and having been called as a leader and an anchor in both the feminine and in intimacy on the planet for women, I'd probably be lost and confused. But I get to show up and anchor into these principles every day and be a guide for others to do the same. And it's an honor. Maybe it's more for me than anyone else. But how grateful I am. Because I've had times when I was so lost and so disconnected from myself. And I'll never go back. Okay, love you all.